Hey, everybody, it's Pastor Sam. I have the privilege of teaching or sharing with you another midweek encouragement. And the really cool thing is that I'm also going to be sharing the teaching for Sunday. And so today's encouragement video is going to be in preparation for Sunday morning and spending some time looking at the scriptures together. And the passage we're going to be looking at is actually Genesis 18 and 19. That's where I'll be teaching from on Sunday. And so, kind of in preparation for that, just have some quick initial thoughts. And I would say that if I could encourage you to prepare for Sunday over the next couple of days, it would be wise to read Genesis 18 and 19, and maybe even a little bit, before, if you start in chapter 15 or so, work your way through, through Genesis 19. Kind of gives you more of a context for the narrative, the story that I want to focus in on, specifically in regards to Abraham and Lot. So if you could do that, or if you get this and you do that, I think it would help prepare you for what I'd like to share on Sunday. While thinking about that, here are some things to contemplate for Sunday morning's teaching. First of all, this story is a theophany, and that word basically just means that God shows up. And the Old Testament narratives, there are a few narratives where it talks about the Lord appearing on earth, right? That's theophany. And we believe, or I shouldn't say we, but my personal belief is that these moments where it says, the Lord appeared in the Old Testament scriptures, I believe that that person is Jesus Christ. And I think that's true in this story because we know that nobody can look at God and live, but Jesus is the Son of God, and he makes his way to earth in the New Testament, right? And so that's partly why I believe that when it mentions the Lord appearing on earth in the Old Testament, I believe it is Jesus himself. So this story of Abraham and Lot is a theophany in that the Lord shows up. And actually, right in the beginning of Genesis 18, it says, the Lord suddenly appeared, or it has some kind of emphasis like that. And so it has, the two chapters have everything to do with what the Lord desires for people in this story. So one way I would encourage you as you're reading is to first think about that. Why did the Lord show up? And then look at the differences between how Abraham interacts with the Lord and how Lot interacts with the Lord. Two very different interactions that happen. So kind of bullet point list out the differences between how Abraham treats the Lord and how Lot treats the Lord. The other reason why I think it would be wise to go back to like Genesis 15 and look at and to begin preparing for Sunday is because that'll help you develop a better understanding of the relationship between Abraham and Lot. Also, it kind of would help you come to a point where you understand like the marks of their character, the struggles that they had, in conflict with one another, things like that. So the first thing is, contemplate what it would mean, contemplate the idea of the Lord appearing suddenly before Abraham and then going to Lot, and the differences between those two interactions. Also, kind of work through the differences between Abraham and Lot up to this point. And as you do so, here are kind of my reflections on this passage so far in preparation for teaching on Sunday. And these are the things that I've been kind of mulling over. I read this recently for my morning devotions, and I've kind of continued mulling over a few things. The first question I've been thinking about as I consider Genesis 18 and 19 is, what is my response to the Lord suddenly showing up in my life? How do I respond to that? Because that's exactly what happened, right? There was a day where the things of Jesus became a reality in my life. And it was sudden. And I think that's all of our stories, is that there's a day where we didn't know Jesus, and there's a day where we came to know Jesus. And what is my response now to that sudden interaction with Christ? You know, Abraham understood the specialness. I'm going to give it away a little bit. Abraham understood how special of a moment he was experiencing, and the specialness of the situation, and he didn't waste any time. If you look at how Abraham went about hosting his guests, it mentions words like hurriedly or quickly. He was rushing to go about making sure that his guests, who was the Lord, were treated well. And so the question for the midweek encouragement, right, thinking about this story of Abraham interacting with the Lord, is how do I welcome God's presence in my own life? What kind of priority do I give it? How do I safeguard that presence in my life? And the second kind of reflection I have, thinking about the story of God visiting, or the Lord visiting Abraham and then making his way to visit Lot, is the Lord appears and he is with Abraham for a while, but his mission is to destroy Sodom. And as he makes this plan known to Abraham, Abraham begins pleading on behalf of Sodom. He begins to intercede on behalf of Sodom because that's where Lot lived. But think about this for a moment. Lot chose to live in Sodom in the midst of what it was. I don't think there's any question as to whether or not Lot knew about the depravity of Sodom and the sinfulness of Sodom, right? The way it's described is that, the Lord heard, he saw the sinfulness of Sodom. It came up to him, like it was so bad that it was festering so much that he saw it and knew what it was. And so he was going to judge it. And Lot chose to live there. So the reflection from that is, how often do I do the same thing in my own life and allow the desires of my heart, or maybe the desires of the world, to settle into the space in my life where Jesus should be king, where Jesus should be Lord? And at times it causes a duality of allegiance in my life. How often am I like Lot and choose to follow my own desire in the place of following a desire for Christ? And what is the consequence of that? The consequence of that, or has been in my life, is this duality of allegiance. And what I mean is, like, I love Jesus, but in my heart, there's this, he's not the first thing I think about in the morning sometimes. Or I don't always consider that I should pray unceasingly. There are other things in my heart and in my mind that I want to do that are apart from Christ. Now, they're not necessarily sinful and they're not necessarily bad, but that creates a duality of allegiance, right? Just like Lot living in Sodom, right? Now he's got a stake in that area, and the Lord is looking to collect on the sin that's happening in Sodom. One final thing that I want you to consider in preparation for Sunday morning. As Abraham intercedes on behalf of Sodom, which he's actually interceding on behalf of Lot in reality, that's what he's concerned about, is Lot's well-being. And he's interacting with the Lord. This is what he starts like reasoning, like, Lord, if there were 50 righteous people in Sodom, what would you do? Would you leave it alone? Would you let it exist? Okay? And in verse 25 of chapter 18, he says this: "Far be it from you to do such a thing, to put the righteous to death with the wicked, so that the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth, excuse me, shall not the judge of all the earth do what is just? And the Lord responds, if I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Thinking about what in this story, why the Lord was going to destroy Sodom, because the Lord is a judge. And Abraham's question is a question about God's justice. God, if you are good and you love the righteous, you won't destroy Sodom if there are righteous people in there, right? A good judge wouldn't do that. And the Lord responds, you're absolutely right. A good judge would not do that. And I am a good judge. So as you consider this story of Abraham and the Lord appearing and the Lord declaring he's going to destroy Sodom and Lot being in Sodom, think about a good judge. Think about these characteristics of a good judge. One, a good judge will never let the guilty go unpunished, which is why the Lord is heading to Sodom, because the guilty are going to receive the consequence of their actions, which is punishment. And second, a good judge will never judge the righteous as if they were wicked. And we see that even in the story of Sodom and the Lord coming to destroy it, God spares Lot. And that is very significant. And you have to ask yourself, why? Because he's a good judge. But we also know that he's merciful. Okay, so I'm gonna save myself from going in too deep today. We're already at 12-ish minutes for the video, and so I just wanted to kind of start your thinking. But read through this story and these 2 chapters, or maybe a little bit before, and really begin to consider what the Lord is trying to teach us about himself through this story. Why was it recorded? What is in there for us to know? And as you do so, look at Abraham, compare him to Lot, look at the Lord's interaction with Abraham and Sarah, and look at the Lord's interaction with Lot and Sodom. And begin to really formulate some plot ideas and some potential teaching ideas. And that way, when Sunday comes, what I have to say hopefully will be just a continuation of your own thinking. All right. That's all I have for today. I hope this encourages you. I hope as you think about God being a good judge, you'll remember that it's because of Jesus that he will not judge us according to our sin, but he will judge us according to the good works that Jesus did by dying on the cross to pay the penalty for our sin. And so you will always receive God's mercy because of that reason. That's the promise of Scripture. All right, be well. We love you. We're praying for you. And until next time, have a good day.